Coming up on This Week in iPad, we've got our very first iPad Games Showcase. Plus, we're going to show you how you could win a $10,000 iTunes card. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of This Week in iPad. I'm Andrea Renee, here with my co-host Jacob Birch.
In the dunce's chair.
The dunce's chair.
I need a chair.
It's not a dunce chair. He is in that chair because we have a very special guest, Wally, in studio with us from the Mahalo iPad Games Department.
Yes, I am here. Wonderful to be here in the leadership awesome chair.
Yes, the real chair.
That's
the real
Mr.
chair.
Technology chair.
Oh,
that's my
okay.
title
I've been
for
downgraded.
Downgraded. He used to be Director of Technology.
Oh.
Now he's just Mr. Technology.
Mr.
No, he's still Director of Technology.
I'll take it.
If you guys want to follow us on Twitter, we would love to have you follow us. You can follow us at TWIiPad. You can also email us at ipad@thisweekin.com. You can subscribe and rate us on YouTube at youtube.com/thisweekend. And you can also catch a lot of our other really fantastic content on our YouTube page. We have a lot of really great shows. We launched a bunch of new shows at the network this month, and you should definitely check them out. One of my new personal favorites is Pensado's Place, which aired yesterday with famous mixing engineer Dave Pensado. So definitely check that out if you're a music fan. So let's go ahead and get right into our iPad Games Showcase. We thought there was a bunch of really great games, and it's so difficult for me to just pick one game every week. So we brought Wally here, the iPad Games expert, in to tell us about some of the new games that are coming out right now.
Yeah, that is me, the iPad Games expert. I am with the Mahalo video games team. I'm the iPad guy there. And so they wanted my expertise, and I gave it to them.
Why, thank you.
You're very welcome. iPad games are really taking off. It's a big thing right now. We've got big developers working on big games for the iPad all over the place. So I picked 3 of the big recent games that I thought people should know about, that we should talk about. First up is Spirits for the iPad. Gorgeous game, beautiful game. This is a puzzler, much like Lemmings from back in the day, where you start with these little spirits, and you have to send them to their home in the vortex. What makes this game unique and worth mentioning is the mechanics work a little differently than typical Lemmings. You can climb, you can dig, but to get your little spirits up to the vortex, you need to send them into a wind current. And you have to blow them, because they're little mushroomy head-looking guys, and you blow them up into the wind, which I'm doing very poorly at the moment.
It looks kind of like a caterpillar.
Well, that's just because there's lots of them.
Oh, okay, I see.
Try to start blowing some of my friends up. And it's really in depth, it's fun, and it's only $4.99 on the App Store, which is a great price. Anything more than that, it's got to be really spectacular, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
What's unique also about this is the hand-drawn levels. There are 40 of them, all individually hand-painted, actually, is what it looks like, and complete with an orchestral score, which for an iPad game is unique and awesome, because it just really ups the sort of zen feel of the whole thing. And it gives you a nice sort of just calmness as you're playing. It's difficult but not overly frustrating, and when they die, it's not grotesque. They just sort of disappear nicely. It just sort of makes for an overall fun experience.
It's soothing.
It really is. You know, a nice long day at work, you come home, you play a little Spirits.
Nice.
It's a nice warm bath, some candles. It'll be fun.
I don't know if I'd want to bring my iPad in the bathtub.
There's an app for that, I'm sure, to protect it.
Oh, yeah.
A little protective case. You'll be fine.
Yeah, a waterproof case for the iPad? There's gotta be, right?
Pretty sure there is.
Yeah.
I think I made fun of Lon for recommending one once. So
Like
it exists.
you're in the pool with your iPad?
Yeah.
All right, so what do you got next?
Next is N.O.V.A 2, Near Orbit Vanguard
I love this
Alliance,
one.
the sequel. This game, while being upside down at the moment, doesn't have the best detection for rotation, but is a bit of a Halo clone. That can be thrown around like a bad word often, but you know, Bungie isn't making Halo games for the iPad. Gameloft is making N.O.V.A games for the iPad. So while it might be very similar, it is all in all a fun experience. right side up or upside down, really. The graphics are sharp, some of the best for the iPad in its sort of futuristic-y sort of world. Not quite Infinity Blade standards, but still very good. The controls are a little hypersensitive, I found, but once you get hold of it, once you get your feel for it, it's very refreshing going around and, there we go. Going around and shooting people with a shotgun. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, I played the first Nova on the iPad and I really enjoyed it. It is clearly a Halo ripoff, which is fine because it's not like Bungie is going to be making, like you said, they're not going to be making an iPad game for Halo. I mean, they should. They could make a lot of money doing it, but...
And eventually they're going to have to. There's that much of a market developing for the iPad games. But at the moment, Gameloft is filling a need. They do Halo games, StarCraft games. They've got the new fantasy game that looks like it's either going to be a Final Fantasy or Zelda type game.
They have a Call of Duty type game too, don't they?
They've got a Call of Duty. They even have a Grand Theft Auto game, which is almost identical to Vice City. It's shocking, but a lot of fun to play on the iPad because it gives you very, very fulfilling. And that's only $6.99 on the App Store in HD or standard version, no matter which. It's a universal app. So.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and that's fun. And then the last one I want to talk about, I'm really excited about this one. It's World of Goo. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this. Game.
I've heard of it. It's an XBLA game, isn't it?
It's been on multiple platforms. This is its first sort of touch iOS version. It's been around since about 2008, actually, in various forms. This game is incredible, and this is the definitive version of the game. You can play it on Xbox Live, you can play it on computer, I think is where it originally started, but here now with the touch controls is the definitive version of World of Goo. And it's been a lot of people's game of the year. I believe Metacritic and Touch Arcade and all sorts of places.
So what's the premise of this game?
You are building a tower to get up to a pipe, and every bit of goo can be used to build a part of your structure. And what's really incredible about this game is you have to build a sound structure because physics play an incredible. Oh, and there it goes. You got to do it a little slower and more thoughtful than I'm doing right now, but it's a lot of fun. And the great thing about this game is it's a puzzler, but unlike most puzzlers, which only slightly change the skin around when you go to a different level, maybe feels ever so slightly different, a different world, really has a varied sense of when you go from level to level, it feels different, yet plays exactly the same. And it really is fun. And what's exciting right now is because it's all the accolades it's getting, 2D Boy, the developer, has actually lowered the price. It's normally $9.99 on the App Store, but right now it is only $4.99.
Oh, wow.
So it's on sale right now for the foreseeable future, but not forever. Highly recommend.
That's really where I like to pick up games when I see them go on sale. Like EA had their holiday sale, and I bought like 10 games because they were all marked down to 99 cents.
Yeah, that was fun. I will admit I also got a couple of the sports games, which I don't really figure you would want to buy for $5.99 or whatever the normal price is. But for 99 cents, I'll get an NHL game. That's fun.
Oh, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about where people can find out about where they can watch your guys' videos about all of your iPad games that you review.
Definitely. We are a full team of several people working tirelessly night and day to do, well, I'm working night and day, I don't know about everyone else, reviews, walkthroughs, everything related to the iPad. It's Mahalo Video Games is our channel. You can find us on YouTube. We also have our mahalogaming.com. It's a blog post homepage where we'll post all of our big, exciting new stuff. And you can follow us on Twitter at @videogames. Yeah, that's us. And you can hear all the great stuff about not just iPad games, but all gaming. iPad games being an important part of where we're going now in the future.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how the iPad has really kind of stepped up in the world of video games to be like, hey, we're here too, and a lot of these big, game companies are creating versions of their games for the iPad, like Assassin's Creed.
Not only that, but a lot of casual games. You mentioned World of Goo, but Plants vs. Zombies, like you said, it didn't start on the iPad, but it might as well have. The definitive version is on the iPad just because it makes so much more fluid sense with a touch interface than it does, on a console or with a controller.
It really does. I just recently played Angry Birds on the computer because it's part of the Mac App Store now, and it's just nowhere near as rewarding when you're slinging birds across the way. And Plants vs. Zombies, you mentioned it. I'm actually going through it right now just to get the best possible playthrough on that game for our site so people can see everything, including the mysterious Yeti zombie, which is hard to find. And that's just, it's so intuitive and easy and makes so much sense on the touchscreen. And the developers are taking really good advantage of that right now, and that's what's exciting. That's what's pushing this forward so much.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for showing us all these games, and you're going to hang out and talk some iPad news with us and hang around for Planet of the Apps.
I think that'll be fun.
And someone in the chat room this week in Kale says that you have a cool stand.
I do.
You actually have the light version of my stand. I have the Zugu stand, and that's a Zugu stand.
Yeah, we just actually got these in the other day, and I was going to give them to the other people on our team, but I saw it way too snazzy to pass up.
I know, I really like it. I'm a little jealous, actually.
Yeah, it's the best stand you can get out there, especially for playing games now on the iPad. You don't want to have to hold it, unless it's tilt screen, obviously, but for most of the controls, you want to just be able to put your hands there and go at it, and it makes it so much simpler.
Agreed. All right, so let's get into some iPad news. Now, we haven't had news in quite some time, but there were some really exciting things that happened this week.
Yeah, the first thing that is announced, 4.3, iOS 4.3 was seeded to developers, I think, yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. It's obviously not a 5.0, so only a few features, but some things they're adding I'm really excited about, because I'm an Apple TV dork. Third-party app support for video AirPlay is being added.
Oh, wow.
So that's big news for potentially, who knows who's going to adapt it, but Netflix, Hulu, MLB app, all these videos that
maybe thisweekend.com should get their own app, huh?
Well, you could. It should be really easy to add. I'm thinking it's going to be like, basically, if you want video on to be AirPlay enabled, it'll be a simple thing for people to update. So that's really exciting, especially if MLB adds it. I would be stoked for that and pay them a lot of money for it. The other things that are being added, Wi-Fi tethering. No word yet. Verizon's going to support it. No word yet if AT&T will on either the iPad or the iPhone. I'm sure they'll announce it sometime, but if they want to compete with Verizon, they best get on it. A few hints towards what will come on the iPad 2, but nothing shocking. Camera, oh wow, I'm shocked by that. And the other thing that I think a lot of sort of whiners, myself included, will be happy about is that the side button, which was the app lock, the positioning lock, and now is the mute button, there will be an option to make it the position lock again.
Oh, so, good, because I know that there was a lot of people that were complaining about that.
It makes no sense. Volume muting's easy, and it's just so inconvenient to have to double tap and to lock it that way. So, and if there's a lot of smaller things, go to your favorite Apple blog, either twa.com or 9to5mac.com is my favorite. There's a slew of smaller changes that are coming, but those are the real big ones.
Cool, very exciting. I always like it when you can always find new features for your iPad, because it's this amazing piece of technology that even when you get it, I mean, when I got mine, the first thing I did was play Plants vs. Zombies, speaking of that game. That was literally the first thing I did on the iPad. And then, Jacob's like, well, you can do this, and you can do this, and, it does this, and I had no idea. And that's why we here at This Week in iPad are here to help you find these things out. So, moving on to our next news story. Now, this one I got really excited about. I stumbled across the story, and I can't believe I didn't see it in a more, prominent place. I believe I found this on, Christian Science Monitor's site or something like that. I think the story originated at PC World, which is kind of ironic. But Apple is going to give away a $10,000 iTunes card to the lucky person who becomes the 10 billionth person to download an app. Well, actually not the 10 billionth person, because there's not 10 billion people, but the person who downloads the 10 billionth app. And we actually have their countdown site. It's amazing to me how fast this ticker is moving. And we here are all going to be watching this very avidly, because let's think about it. $10,000 to spend in the iTunes store. I mean, could you even spend that much? You'd have to buy the whole catalog.
That's a lot of fart apps.
It is.
A ton.
Well, it's good.
We could get almost every one, I bet. Almost.
How many fart apps are there?
There's a lot.
Probably 10 billion. A couple of them are free, but a couple of them cost $3.
So you're an expert on this too.
Yes.
Well, that's what we cover. We cover all sorts of games and apps and stuff. But $10,000, that can get you at least 2 seasons of Family Guy on the App Store.
Well, and I believe, and it's not just, it should be universal, so it wouldn't just be the App Store, it would be iTunes as well. So
yeah, I would guess so.
A lot of movies, a lot of music. It'd be a fun day.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
You should try and force them to spend it in a day and see if they can do it.
Kind of like that
Brewster's
shopping.
Millions.
What was the name of that shopping game?
Shop till you drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that game. To see how many things you can buy in a certain amount of time in the iTunes store.
The problem is you couldn't keep it in Shop till you drop. But this, you would get to keep it. That'd be fun.
That's true.
It would be good.
I guess it is. So if you want your chance to win potentially a $10,000 iTunes card, you better go to Apple's site and bookmark this and be watching it, because you're going to be competing with thousands of people who want this, the three of us at this table included. So check it out.
I'll be up. I've got a few devices to buy things on, so I'll just keep going nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually one more, since we have some time, there's actually one more story that I wanted to talk about. It's called, the headline is Apple nixes free iPad subs for print customers. Now this has been something that's been debated for quite some time. There's no official word on it yet, but the story is that supposedly on April 1st is when Apple is going to eliminate free subscriptions to people who buy apps for magazines. For example,
poor date choice.
I know, right? Exactly. Tax day? Really? Thanks, Apple. Now, I think that this is a ridiculous thing. I mean, I get that, Apple's very proprietary about their company as a whole, whether it comes to hardware, software, digital rights management, all of that. But if I have a subscription to Glamour magazine and I want to get the Glamour magazine app and they're going to give me it for free if I have a subscription to the magazine, why shouldn't I be able to get that for free? I don't see why I should have to pay for it twice if I leave my magazine at home when I want to check it out on my iPad, especially since a lot of these magazine apps have unique and individual features that you can't find in the regular magazine.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I think I don't want to comment too much until the actual story comes out in more details, because it might make sense or it might be misconstrued. It doesn't make a whole lot of it makes a whole lot of sense on Apple's end, because money is good and people will pay.
Yes.
It seems a little odd that they force it without another reason, but money's good.
I just think that they should allow the developer to decide. I think that the person who's in charge of the app, who makes the individual apps for the magazine, should be able to say, well, we want to give the content to our subscribers for free, and if you're not a subscriber, then you pay, or we want to force them to pay. Like, I think if they do, then you can just be mad at the developer, not at Apple.
The methodology, I'm sure, in their mind, Apple's going to say, oh, there's an infrastructure cost to having to support something like a push subscription service.
Oh, okay.
So if they're going to offer that, like SI.com, Sports Illustrated has wanted, Wall Street Journal has wanted, people, I think, they're going to say, well, it costs something on our end to do it, so you have to charge something.
Right.
Otherwise, why bother?
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, you can be upset at Apple if you want, but there's nothing you can do about it. So let's do Planet of the Apps.
You maniacs! Damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Don't download it, Lon. You might not like how it runs.
Oh, I never get tired of that video. All right, it's Planet of the Apps, my favorite part of the episode. And this week, we're talking about entertainment media apps, because featured on the iTunes store this week, there was a bunch of new apps for different television networks. And the one that I want to start out with is one of my favorite networks, because I'm a huge fashion and gossip junkie. It's the Live from the Red Carpet app. Now, the thing I really love about this app, first off, it's colorful, it's really pretty, just the look of it right away, you know exactly what you're looking for. Up here along the top, you see that they have these spaces, buttons that aren't filled in yet, but these are all the awards, because award season is just about to start. They have the Golden Globes, SAG Awards, Oscars, the BAFTA Awards, Grammys, and then they have movie premieres and the Emmys. So if you're coming here to look for red carpet, these are all the biggest red carpets. They make it really prominent. They don't make you have to search for it, and I really love that about this. They have their news, of course, because E does a lot of news. You can click on all of these different entertainment news stories along the top here. And then they have photos. So let's say you wanted to see the photos for the 2010 Grammys or the 2010 Golden Globes. I mean, I've already looked at those, so we were not going to. But what I also really love down here is that they have video. So let's say you missed their coverage of the Green Hornet premiere. I don't know how many people out there in iPad land are as big entertainment junkies as me, but I really love this. They have their red carpet footage that they have, so you can see their interview with Seth Rogen, who is, the star of the upcoming Green Hornet. This is just taking a second to load. And then, of course, you know, iPad, make it big. One of my favorite things. It was interesting because over the holiday break, I was demoing my iPad to my family, and they were just like all loud about it. I was like, yeah, I know, it's pretty cool. So that's the E! Entertainment Online app. It's free. I absolutely love it. If you are an entertainment fan, if you watch E!, then this is a must-have app for you.
Sweet.
Nice. So what's your one? I'm going to demo it since you don't have your
I'm in my dunce
iPad.
chair with no iPad camera. CNN, let's do the CNN app.
Oh, right.
So both apps, and I think this is a trend a lot of where when I download an app that even if it's free, but it's from something like CNN, which has a very prominent web presence already, my question is, what does this give me that the web, that going to CNN.com and saving it as a bookmark doesn't? And with CNN, it's not a whole lot of features, and it would have been nice to see a little bit more. That said, it's a really well-designed app. They feel that because it's, for whatever reason, that they're able to put a lot more rich content on it. So you'll see the videos and the images are a lot bigger than they are on the website if you were to view it on your iPad. They have a few smaller things like Facebook integration, Twitter integration, and all that. I'm not that enthralled by that, but I don't like sharing news stories on my Facebook, so that's there. And it's a really clean app. You're clicking news stories like you did, it will show it up there. If you find so much on CNN now is on the web is video as opposed to text, but if you find one that's text, it's really well organized. You're able to, the comments are on the right, the text is on the left, and they sort of have navigation elements down on the side. That said, that's basically it. So if you're going to CNN.com, if you were going to CNN.com a lot on your iPad, it's easily a better way to navigate it. It's cleaner, it looks better. But if you were if the reason why you don't go to CNN.com is for whatever it's lacking features or anything like that, this isn't going to change your mind.
Well, I frequently go to CNN.com on my iPad, and the thing that I like better about this is that sometimes it's difficult to hit some of the links.
No, absolutely.
On the page there, whereas these, when you're touching, the space to touch is much bigger, so there's less mistakes.
The developers behind this app clearly get what the use case behind the iPad is, what people are looking for, and they're looking for bigger things to hit, making it so you don't have to be as precise. You can browse it a little bit without worrying about the precision of your finger. And they did a great job of it. It's a really good looking app. It's not overly showy, but it's extremely functional and you're never distracted by anything like that. So it's a great app. So if you're looking to go to CNN, it's better than the web experience, but it doesn't add a whole lot more.
Yes, no, I will definitely agree with you there. And this is also another free app, in case anyone's interested.
Yeah, both
I believe all of the
free,
apps that we're covering today are free apps,
and
which is
I mean, I
fantastic.
totally get why they do it. It's a great marketing move because it's just more exposure on the network's end. All the apps I did today did a good job of bringing that experience to the iPad, I thought. So. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so up to my next one. This one's one of my favorite ones because I am a huge football fan. If you've ever watched our show This Week in Football, that I'm sometimes a part of, and that I produce every week, then you would know that I'm a huge football fan. And Wally and I go back and forth about this all the time because he's a diehard Saints fan, and I'm a diehard Vikings fan, and we met in the NFC Championship last year, and now neither of us are in the playoffs. I know it's kind of sad, but
at least we made it.
The app is CBS Sports Pro Football. It's really cool. I mean, there's a lot of football apps out there. The thing that I really like about this one is that it is easy to read, which is good. It's free, which is also good. And that they give you content without you having to pay for it. Something that is kind of interesting, if you have a CBS Fantasy account, you can log in at the upper right-hand corner here. If I can get it to come up. Here, close this. You can log in and access your fantasy football team's information from this app, which is great. I'm not a fantasy player. I'm not really big into stats. I just like being a fan and watching the plays. Fantasy is a little too crazy for me. But as you can see, they have a bunch of stories here from their CBS Sports. They have them labeled down here. So let's say you want to hear what the guys have to say about the divisional preview that's coming up this weekend. And then they have the movies, where you can then watch the commentary about what's coming up.
Played a pair of 3-point games, and now they're set to meet for the third time this season.
Now, my criticism with this is that clearly this video is not high definition. And on the iPad, there's no reason why you shouldn't have high definition video. So Normally, Jacob always gets on me for being too nice about apps. I'm going to say, shame on you, CBS. You are an HD network. Why do you not have HD video on your iPad app? Yes, I know it's free, but you've already created the HD content. It's not like you have to do something special to upgrade it. So I am kind of disappointed that they didn't make their video HD. But you can watch, when the games are live, which is an interesting feature, which I can't demonstrate right now because clearly there's no football going on. You can get live game scores while the game is happening. And I can't show you that. So I guess this app isn't as cool as I thought it was.
So,
just kidding, I have to close this.
And it looks better. I downloaded the CBS iPhone app when it first came out, not this season, but the last season, and it was not a well-made app. And this looks a lot better, but a lot of things you're running into, you're clicking and nothing's responding.
Well, that's because I didn't close the box at the
Okay.
front there. That's why. But this is the page I was trying to show you. So now once the game goes live, they will show you where the plays are happening on the field. They will have down here, it says drive summary, so they'll give you the drive summaries. They'll give you the, on the left-hand side, they'll give you, the injuries or anything else that is happening. So if you're at somewhere and you can't watch the game, because I know sometimes it can be difficult to find games live on the internet, this is a good substitute.
But even it's a great use as that, but something I will even use for if I'm watching the game at home, I'll have an app like this. I use the ESPN app, but they all do a really good job of presenting it, I've found. If like looking back on plays you missed or plays you wanted more details on, or you couldn't remember who made a play, something like that. It's a great supplementary app as well. And with the iPad being a great couch app, it's something to have there and look up the information, figuring out how either the stats are doing or who did on what play, and if you get an argument on who made that key completion, you can solve it real quick.
That's also really interesting because what you can do now, and a lot of stadiums are providing Wi-Fi support in their booths right now for sure, and they're trying to get that more in the seats. You'll be able to take your iPad potentially to the stadiums and get your updates there. Right now, if you have a 3G iPad, you can already do that.
Yeah. AT&T Park in San Francisco makes sense. It has AT&T Wi-Fi in it, so I was able to do that. It was with my phone before the iPad came out at a Dodgers-Giants game, and it was amazing looking up the stats during the fly, because usually the 3G network at a football stadium or a baseball stadium is so congested you can't even really use it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And I unfortunately don't have a 3G iPad, so I hope that more stadiums add Wi-Fi in the future. Yeah. Even though it does get kind of crazy, I don't know if I'd want to bring my iPad to the game.
You're not a big enough Apple fan. No. Steve Jobs frowns upon you.
All right, biggest Apple fan ever. What's your last app?
MSNBC with Rachel Maddow. I think is the full name of the app. I wish they would pick smaller ones. I gotta find it. When you do this show...
Is this only portrait?
I guess. Wow, the name of the app is Rachel Maddow, which is a little creepy. So this is sort of similar to the CNN app, but I actually think it does a better job than the CNN app of being sort of tailored to the iPad. Much like the e-app, where you can, the photo comes on the bottom, you can scroll through horizontally, makes it a little bit more compact. They have a lot of content presented really beautifully, I think. Video content. They have one really cool feature that I like is in the top right, there's the Twitter Watch Party.
Watch Party.
And there you're able to see people who are posting things from the Matto app, view people that they've designated as all-stars, and then you see people who are just using the Matto hashtag. And so when you're watching it live, you can sort of follow along. And that's
interesting.
That's actually a key thing I love about Twitter is, bringing up my phone or my iPad while watching a football game and following all these people who are commenting, making funny or astute comments about it. So you're able to do that with the show, and I thought that was really smart of them. My one complaint of it is there's another link up top that says Matto blog, and all it does is load a fake WebKit browser and load the website. And to me, if you're doing that, unless the browser's doing anything specific, which this one isn't, just load up this link in Safari or don't feature it.
Right.
Or find a way to bring that content into the app more natively, because it just takes you away from an app that I think is otherwise really well done. So if they wanted right now, the only thing that's really in there is the Twitter app and the video content.
Yeah, but I didn't know that Rachel Maddow had a blog. I mean, I could assume that she had a blog, but I don't know where to go find it. So I think that this is helpful, though.
No. I think it's really helpful, but I would rather, and people can disagree with me here, but I would almost rather it be just a link and say we're going to open this in Safari. Because in Safari, you have your bookmarks there, you have other windows you've loaded up.
I see what you're saying.
To me, it just sort of takes me out of the app a little bit too much. And I think it's probably something they wanted to make sure the feature of the blog, but they weren't able to incorporate it into the app itself. And I hope an update comes out that would allow it to incorporate a little bit more internally and make it look better, and then just sort of browsing around. But the video content's presented well. The Twitter feature is great. If you're a fan of her show, get it. Free, no reason not to.
All right. So, Wally, since you're our guest today,
Yes.
you get to decide who wins Planet of the Apps.
Ooh.
Is it CBS Pro Football, E Red from the Carpet, E Live from the Red Carpet, CNN, or Rich Maddo's MSNBC site?
Well, it's funny because you sort of hit on two of my hidden loves, football, well, that's not hidden, and the Oscars, which also is not hidden. I love to know what people are wearing. So the news apps win.
Yeah.
So, CNN.
Yeah.
Oh, well, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the CNN app, but I mean, seriously, the Red Live from the Red Carpet is a really, really good app. All right, so that is it for our show today. We want to thank you guys for coming by. Please, again, follow us on Twitter at TWIiPad. And Will is typing me a message that he says he wants us to throw our iPads in the air like graduation. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Pass.
The last episode.
You can email us at ipad@thisweekend.com. Of course, if you guys are not watching us live, you can watch us live every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can join our chat room at ustream.tv/thisweekend. We have some awesome people in there now. We got Cliff and Kale, and I think Jeffy Monster's still there. And you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/thisweekend. And of course, it's all possible because of Storm On Demand. They make This Weekend iPad possible. If you want to learn more about cloud computing, visit stormondemand.com. All right, I'm Andrea Renee at Andrea Renee. That's Jacob Birch.
At Jacob Birch.
And Wally, where can they find you?
JW Wally. JWWALLE.
And he is tagged on our site, so if you go to our Twitter page, you will see his Twitter handle.
Follow me for awesomeness.
Yes, he does actually tweet pretty cool stuff. All right, thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you next week.